Hello my creative friends, welcome to Rain Francis Art. My name is Rain. Today's video is a real-time art tutorial of a drawing of a winter scene at night under a full moon. I decided to draw this today because the theme for my art date this week is Christmas present. I thought about these themes last year when I was watching A Christmas Carol. So last week it was Christmas past, today is Christmas present, next week it's going to be Christmas future. But instead of going with A Christmas Carol, I decided to depict a scene that is going on presently in my life around Christmas time, my Christmas present. I live in the woods, I hear coyotes howling every night, and we are fast approaching December's full moon. So I decided to draw this scene with white and black charcoal pencils on black art paper. If you'd like to follow along, in the description below I've left a list of the supplies that I've used, and I also put a downloadable link of the little coyotes that I drew. If you want to print those out and add those to your scene, please go ahead and do so. And also, if you would like to join in on my art date every Thursday, please check out rainfrancisart.com and you can join along. I would love to see what you come up with for the themes that I chose. And we share. There are a lot of people who do the art date every week, and it's really fun to get to know people who do art and to see what they come up with for these themes. So without further ado, here's the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye. So let's draw that winter scene. I'll show you the supplies that I'm using. Well, first I've got my black art paper behind here. I've got a couple of rulers. I love this ruler because I'm going to be drawing the moon, so I'm going to use this circle here. I think you can probably hear my hound dog snoring in the background. I have my black and white charcoal pencils. I've got a few white chalk pencils and a white pastel pencil. I'm not quite sure I'm going to use those. I've got various blending tools here. These ones here are for black charcoal and these are for white charcoal. I've got some cotton swabs that I'm going to use and just a little pencil. And somewhere around here I have a piece of wax paper that I'm going to use so that I don't smudge as I go. But before I start, I just want to show you a few Christmas cards or Yuletide cards that I received. This one is from Bill and Audrey. Thank you, Bill and Audrey. This one is from Gwen. Thank you so much, Gwen. This is beautiful. This is from my friend Maria. Thank you, Maria. She's a warrior. This is from my friend Andrea and her husband Dave. Andrea is so sweet. This is from my friend Dorothy and her husband Patrick, another sweet couple. And this is from my friend Christine. She made this herself. Isn't that cute? I just wanted to show those. Receiving cards is so nice. And I love giving cards too. So let me put this stuff away. And I've just got some computer paper here that I'm going to use to try to draw out a few coyotes. So let me get my glasses on. I do have a reference in front of me, and I'm looking at it as I'm going. I'm not that good at this, doing it on camera. I usually do the stenciling off camera because it takes me a while to do it. And these are only going to be silhouettes, so I hope that's okay. That one looks okay. I'm going to do a couple of howling coyotes here. And I've got that shaky hand thing going on again, so that's another reason why I don't do the stencils in real time, because of my shaky hands. Well, this guy is just sitting, or this gal. Okay, so that's done. So I have my coyotes all drawn out, and I'm going to show you a new product that I've discovered. I don't think it's a new product, new for me. My dogs are jumping around up on top of the recliner, so there's going to be some noise there. This is called Graphite transfer paper, and I found this, I think I found it on Amazon if I'm not mistaken, and it's white. So I can use this to transfer my stencil instead of making a messy, you know, drawing all over the back, putting it on, and applying it that way and getting my canvas all messy. I found this graphite paper, and I found some black ones too, so I'm going to be using these. I guess they're kind of like the old carbon copy papers that we used to use in typewriters when I was younger. So what I've done is it comes in a very, very large sheet. So I've cut out a piece here. The shiny side goes on your canvas. And what I want to do first, though, is because I'm drawing a scene at night with the moon and in a forest, I want a horizon line. So my page is 9 inches down. I want to have about halfway, so I'm going to put the horizon line at 4.5 inches. And I'm just putting a dot there to remind me for now. So I want my coyotes' heads to be just a little above the horizon side, and I'm going to put them to the right of the scene. And what I'm going to do is take this graphite paper. Usually on my white paper, I've tested out the black graphite transfer paper. I can tape it, but this paper isn't very great, so I'm not going to tape it, which means I have to hold the paper in place while I transfer it. So I'm just going to place the graphite transfer paper underneath and hold the paper as I transfer it. Honestly, my friends, this makes life so much easier. It really does. It's less messy. I moved my paper a little bit, so I've got to be careful here. And this is just a silhouette. This is going to be a silhouette, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I think we're all going to get the idea that these are coyotes howling at the moon. Okay, let's see how that looks. Look at that. Isn't that amazing how well that transferred? I've tried this a few times, and the only thing is it doesn't erase very well, and it doesn't matter with the white on black paper, because I could always take a black charcoal pencil and go over it and make the lines disappear. But when you're using the black transfer paper on white canvas, don't press too hard because you really can't erase it. Okay, so I'm very pleased about that. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in my horizon line. And I've got my white charcoal pencil, just putting in the horizon line, and I'm going to avoid the line through the coyotes because they're going to stay black in the silhouette. All right, I'm going to be using my ruler a lot for this, because what I'm doing is I want to make some trees. So I'm trying to decide how many trees, but first I'm going to put the moon. And this is where this little ruler comes in handy. My moon is going to be about here. Perfect circle. I've got sparkles all over the place. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put in a few trees. And they're going to find themselves below the horizon line. Kind of like my own woods behind my house. I have about 1.5 acres of birch wood. I love it. All right, I'm going to put a bigger tree here. And I want to put one tree that goes through the moon. And maybe just a little one here. It looks kind of funny right now, but you're going to see how it all comes together. And just behind this coyote, a big tree. Okay. And it's going to come down just to here. And just to make myself, I have to remember, I'm just going to fill that in. It's not going to stay white, but I'm going to fill it in to remind me that it's part of the tree. Just filling in my trees here. We're coming up on the winter solstice, the longest night of the year. Yule. This one's coming down a little further because it's closer. I'll make it thick. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start filling in the white. Now, the trees that I've created are all going to stay black. So are the coyotes. But everything else besides, I'm going to put some shadows in black, but everything else is going to be white or have some white in it. But I've got some areas of the sky here around the moon and beyond the trees that are going to stay maybe a grayish color, but not completely black. So I've got my white charcoal pencil here, and the moon is the brightest white, so I may apply many layers of white charcoal to the moon, and I'm remembering that the tree is remaining black. I am going to go over it with black charcoal, but I don't want to purposely get any white in there if I can help it. December's full moon is in a couple of days. It's called the full cold moon. Also the long night's moon, because Yule is the longest night. All right, now what I'm going to do is, I have a snow-covered forest here, and the sky is white. So I'm going to take my white charcoal again, and through all the trees, I'm going to just gently put white charcoal, and I'm going to blend all that in after. I'm working on the sky first. You can kind of see how lightly I'm applying, because it's the same pencil as I used for the moon. There's a lot of crackling noises going on outside. It's windy, it's cold, and it's sunny, and I think there's some ice on my roof, and it's cracking and breaking down. So Yule, the longest night of the year, and then little by little the sun comes back. I love celebrating the winter solstice because I am a sun person. I'm not a dark, cold person. I love winter for a little bit. You know, in December it's nice, but beyond that, I would love to live in a more tropical climate. All right, I'm just gonna make sure it's not too pointy here, because white charcoal is not very forgiving when you're blending. You have to really blend it well with a blending stump. Using a cotton swab doesn't do the trick. So when you're applying white charcoal in large areas like this, you can use a block. I have a block of white charcoal, but I find that it doesn't apply very evenly. I like using the pencil. But when you're using it for large areas, make sure you're using circular motion. Don't draw lines unless you want to see lines, because you will see lines, unfortunately. All right, let's continue doing this. The full moon in January is called the full wolf moon. And it was named that because during that time of year, it's when you can hear, apparently, the wolves howling the most, because it was said that they would howl out of hunger. Hunting in January is not very easy for them. I don't have wolves here. Like I said, I have coyotes. But coyotes howl for different reasons, not just because they're hungry. You know, they like to communicate But I can't imagine. I always wonder how all of these critters, you know, live through the winters here. I know that dogs are domesticated, but I can't imagine my dogs surviving outside without, you know, my help. I have a lot of admiration for the wildlife, you know. Okay, let's see. Let's fix this one up a bit. Okay, so we've got our sky. I'm going to start by just blending a little bit, and I will try using a cotton swab, but I'm going to show you. It blends a little bit, but not very well. I'll show you kind of a side-by-side comparison. It's always better to use, this is called a blending stump, so it's better to use a blending stump when you're blending charcoal, white charcoal. I better don't want to smudge here. So it just blends a little bit better. I'm going to be putting multiple layers on some of these areas, so right, I'm just going to start from the left and go right, because I am right-handed and I don't want to smudge. I just wanted to show you in that large area how the blending stump works better. If your hand starts hurting from blending, you're pressing way too hard. Same goes for drawing. If your hand hurts, then you are pressing too hard. It's better to just do multiple blending, you know, or take your time blending, or do layers. When I first started drawing, especially with colored pencils, like Prismacolor pencils, I would push so hard to try to get, you know, the nicest color and the nicest, you know, because sometimes when you're drawing, you don't want to see, like here we see the black canvas underneath, you don't want to see that. So I pressed so hard in my hand, I'd be going like this all the time. And also when I first started drawing, I'd never drawn before really, and you know, with the computer age, a lot of people don't write by hand. I do because I journal, but a lot of people just type. And your hand loses that memory, that muscle memory from writing. And you have to kind of train it again to get used to, get the muscles used to it. It's a funny phenomenon. I'm stopping once in a while, my friends, because the lights that I use, they work so that you can see very well what I'm doing, but sometimes I get a glare, so I have to kind of back up and make sure that everything got blended. Okay, while I'm here, I'm going to gently blend in the moon. Okay. Do you celebrate the winter solstice? Are you celebrating Christmas? What does all that mean to you? I know that Christmas is a Christian holiday or a Catholic holiday. And I was raised Catholic, but I'm not religious in that way anymore. I'm more of someone who celebrates the seasons and spends a lot of time in nature, and I'm more spiritual in that way. So I celebrate the winter solstice. And I used to celebrate Christmas, but it was mostly for the food and the decorations and the presents, and I felt that that was just a little too commercial. So this year I decided not to celebrate Christmas anymore, but I do put up decorations, and we are exchanging gifts this year, but we're going to do it on the 21st of December instead. So a nice side effect of that is that we can get our gifts sooner. Talk about materialistic, huh? Okay. I wasn't sure how high up I was going to go. I may fix all that later, but right now I just want to get the base down and nicely blended. Okay, I can see some lines still. All right. When I thought about doing this, I was inspired by a photo that I saw online. A lovely artist. I think I have her name here. Eileen Stoney, I believe is her name. She did something similar like this. She had deer. She had a buck in the forest. She had a lot more trees, and then when I was looking at it, I said to myself, that looks a lot like my land. It looks a lot like the view I have when the moon is, you know, just above the tree, just, you know, around my horizon here that I can see. So I thought, how appropriate would that be for today? Because my art date theme is Christmas present. And this depicts what is presently going on here around Christmas time. So I thought that was kind of cool. So thank you to Eileen for that idea. Okay. Getting to the home stretch here. of the first layer. I hope this video isn't too long. One beautiful thing about where I live is that I really don't have any neighbors. The few neighbors that are around are super quiet. They're just like me. They kind of want to be left alone. They don't want to hear music playing in cars and parties going on all the time and street noise. And people who move here full time for nature and quiet. And I'm very, very blessed to be around people like that. Rural living, but it comes with the price of having very slow internet. So anytime I upload a video, it takes hours and hours, depending how long it is. A 20-minute video takes 3 hours, and when I decide to do a real-time video, I'm probably looking at about 8 to 12 hours. Okay, so I've got that done, and I just want to show you quickly. I've got my, where is it? Is this my 6B? 6B is the softest and darkest of the black charcoals that I own anyway. You can always go in and fix it. See, I got some white on that tree, and I can just fix it, but I'm going to fill all that in after. Now I'm going to draw in my shadows. The moon is here. So anything that's right below the moon, the shadow is going to be straight down. And as we get away from the moon, the shadow is going to be more on an angle. And all of the trees, as well as the coyotes, have a shadow, right? So this is kind of the middle right here. So if this tree were directly in the middle of the moon, the shadow would come straight down. But it's kind of at a side, at an angle. So this is the base of my tree. Why don't I just draw in the base of my trees to make it easier for you to see? So the base is there. Okay. So this one has a shadow that's going to be slightly angled, and I'm putting it all the way down to the bottom of my canvas. And this one too, it's just next to the moon, so it's going to be angled slightly. I need a smaller ruler for this area here, so I'll use this one. These are quite angled. Okay. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Sorry if you can't see that very well. I didn't press hard enough. There we go. You're at the base of the tree here. That can go a little wider. Just so I don't confuse myself, I'm going to erase that line right away. Okay. Now we start to get quite angular because the moon is far away at this point. These are probably almost horizontal. Okay, so I've got those shadows there. The coyotes also have shadows. I only put a shadow on this paw because the rest of the coyote here is going to be shadowed in here. I could probably put a bigger shadow there, but I'm going to see what it looks like. Actually, this here, I'm just going to do this. Okay, that's going to be the coyote shadow for this guy or gal. Right like that. So once again, what we're going to do is we're going to put in white charcoal down here, but I'm going to apply it just a little, with a little more pressure, because I want it to be more white than this one, because I've got snow on the ground. And as you can see, I'm really using small circles here because I don't mind that you may not be able to see it, but I can see it. There are kind of lines in the sky. I don't mind that at all. But for the ground, I want it to look like there's snow on the ground, so I want it to look round. I mean, I want the shapes to look round. I am so looking forward to the spring, you know, which is terrible because I should enjoy every moment, but I am someone who just loves being outside. And yes, I can go outside in the winter, but I feel the cold too much. Even when I wear a full snowsuit, it's hard on me. I do have a husky though, and she just, that's her season, so she gets me out every day on a walk. And last year well, a lot of my friends know I live near a blueberry field, and there's a nice trail there where I walk the dogs every morning usually. And last winter I started walking my husky Charlie on the blueberry field itself with snowshoes. She loved it. She was prancing around. She loves the snow, and I can't deny her that, even though I'm uncomfortable with the cold. I just have to make sure I wear lots of layers and a huge scarf over my face, because even though I'm a little inland in Atlantic Canada, I still have that Atlantic Ocean wind, and I gotta tell you, it's cold. I'm going to start using my other one because this one's getting a little dull. Not dull, but I need to sharpen it. I forgot to turn it, so if you forget to turn it, this happens. One side is longer and the other side's shorter, so you kind of lose more of your pencil that way when you sharpen it, so make sure you always turn as you're going. And as you can see, I use my pencils all the way down to the nibs, if I can. I'm not into buying expensive supplies, you know. If you want, you can... Oh, that's my dog's stomach. I don't know if you heard that. Yesterday we had to take our cat Oscar. Not yesterday, on Monday, we had to take our cat Oscar to the vet. And he has an ear infection, the poor little thing. But every time we take one of the pets to the vet, they always get a treat after. We stop by McDonald's and they get a little burger patty, you know, or we buy like a chicken McNugget. they get a little piece of chicken or something like that. And yesterday in the car, our cat would not touch the burger. So we went back and we got a 4 little piece of chicken McNuggets, pulled off the batter, and thought maybe he would eat the chicken. He wouldn't even touch that. So when we got home, our 2 dogs and our other cat had a little bit of a feast. And all their stomachs are making noise today. Junk food, eh? Thankfully, we don't have to bring them to the vet too often. We've lost a couple of pets in the last few months to liver failure and kidney failure, and that vet is definitely making some money off of us. Okay, I'm going to grab this here because this is all black, but the middle here is white. All right. I'm just filling in the area here where there's no shadow from a tree. I think this part of the paw here is the only part that's not in the shadow of the tree, so not of the paw, but you know, the opening. And now I'm being careful here. I want to make sure I have that coyote's shadow kept in black, but like I said, I can always go back and put black charcoal in, which I'm going to do anyway. That's Charlie's stomach again. There's no way she can be hungry. She ate so much today already. I guess she's just digesting now. Do you see how it's coming together already? I think it's looking good already. The bulk of this drawing is shading. It's not a very intricate design. It's just filling in all the white. That looks pretty good. Now for this, what I'm going to do is I am going to use my cotton swab because I kind of want to keep that texture in there a little bit. So it doesn't need to be blended really well like I blended the sky. And at the same time, I'm going to go in and try to blend out that horizon line just a little bit. I may have to go in with the blending stump though, because I don't want a harsh line showing. And like I said, don't worry if you get some of this shading into the trees. We have all the basic shape of the tree and the shadow now. And we're going to go in with a black charcoal and we're going to get rid of all of those lines and these lines here to make it look more like a tree and a shadow in the dark woods. You can turn your Q-tip once in a while, your cotton swab, because it oh, Charlie's stomach again. I don't know if you can hear that, but I mention it all the time because she's right under me and I can hear it plain as day. Yeah, you have to switch up your Q-tip or cotton swab after a while because it starts to wear down a little bit and you don't want to scratch your paper. And I'm blending in circles. So it looks like I'm only using white charcoal on this for the highlighted areas. I don't have to use my chalk or my pastel pencil. Alright, got a little spot here I can use. What I love the most about using dark paper, black paper, or I also have a couple of gray pads with gray paper, and I've got tan colored and blue, which I haven't really explored too much of, and I should. But I love it because some of the black here, it does still shine through, and it makes, if you want it to look gray, you apply a very light application of the white charcoal and you can make it look gray. I love how it shades. Alright, this one's done. Alright, we've got all that shaded. Don't think I missed anything. I actually like it the way it is. But I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a little bit more white to my moon here. I really want this to stand out. I'm just going to take a cotton swab and just quickly blend that. Alright. Okay, now I'm going to take my 4B black charcoal pencil and I'm going in and I'm filling in all of the trees and the shadows. And I am using lines, and I'm going to try not to make the trees too too linear, because trees aren't like that, right? They have little bumps and branches and things like that. But I definitely want to erase all of these lines so that they're not showing. Okay. And doing that with the shadow too. So it looks more like a tree with a shadow. I think that looks really nice. Jack's drinking his water. Good boy, Jack. Jack is my hound dog. People who have watched my channel know, and all my friends know Jack. He's an internet superstar. He's so funny. He does not like the cold. He's like me. If it were just me and Jack, he would run out, do what he needs to do, run back in. I would even just stand at the door and wait for him because he would be that quick. He wouldn't even want to go for a walk. And he tells me when he doesn't want to be outside, he'll jump on me to let me know. Time to go home, Mom. Here I'm going to be a little more careful though, because I don't want to accidentally put any black on the moon itself. And every time Jack drinks his water, he comes over by my side and he brings his little doll. I call him Mr. Curly. He lies down next to me and he licks Mr. Curly. That's what he's doing now. Good boy, Jack. Be careful here. All right. I just didn't want to put too much black around the moon itself. I wanted to keep that round shape. All right. The coyote is known as a trickster. And if you look at the totem message of the coyote, it's just to beware that, you know, someone may be trying to communicate with you. This is a positive thing. I don't look at a trickster. I don't like to look at the negative aspect of the totems, you know. But for me, I would think that someone may be trying to communicate something with you, but in a way that's not direct, you know, an indirect way, which is kind of a tricky way of communicating. But if, you know, if you come across a coyote or if you dream of a coyote, or if you happen to just, coyotes seem to pop up all the time when you're, you know, in a conversation, or you see them, images of them, or like you stumbled across my video here where I'm actually drawing coyotes. Maybe think about that. It could be a little message for you that, you know what, maybe someone's trying to tell you something and they're not really being direct about it, so you might have to read between the lines. It's just a little message for you from the coyote totem. I know some people call them coyotes. I go between coyote and coyote, but I guess I grew up watching the Looney Tunes, so Wile E. Coyote chasing the Roadrunner. So I'm used to calling this animal a coyote instead of a coyote. Now I'm not going to erase the coyote's line here because I want it to be white. I'm going to fix that after, but I just wanted to let you know I'm not doing that. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to make this, his paw shadow go all the way down. I'm just going to fill that in with white. I'm just going to do that. And I'll take my swab and just... There we go. I think that might be a little more realistic. And I'm going to get it just to a little tip at the bottom there. Okay, let me move my chair a little here. Might have to start sharpening these soon. I'm using quite a bit of charcoal on this. Usually when I do charcoal, I do portraits, and it's mostly celebrity portraits. Let's see. There. I'm just going to do this whole outline here. There we go. Yeah, I usually do celebrity portraits. I've done a lot of celebrity portraits. They're so much fun to do. And I do them with charcoal. And I think they look great. Once in a while I'll do a little landscape scenery or a silhouette. But the portraits don't use up as much medium. Because here I'm really filling everything in. I could have gone kind of the lazy way and not filled in the black here, just kind of touched up around, but I like the look of a really dark black charcoal next to the white charcoal. I don't want to get my hands too dirty. I wonder if I can get away with doing the last little tree there without having to sharpen. Let's see. No, my friends, I've got to pause this and sharpen. All right, sharpened, as you can see. I'm making this tree just a little thicker. All right, last tree here. Gotta move things around. Everything's in my way here. When I'm drawing by myself, I move my pad around, you know, to suit me, but I want you guys to have a pleasant experience watching this drawing. So it's important not to move things around too much. I've watched videos where the artist will like move the paper around and it's hard to follow or do different angles, and I find that it's so much easier to follow along with a tutorial if it's a uniform video, you know? Not too many angles and not too much, you know, fancy schmancy camera work. All right. This was a little larger. Very windy outside. The other day we lost power for 13 hours. 13 hours. And it was pretty cold. Okay, I'm gonna grab my swab here and just gently blend it. I don't care for it to be completely blended. I just want the charcoal to be all over the tree in the shadow. Being careful next to the moon, but if we accidentally get black into the white, we can always cover it up with more white. I love how charcoal is forgiving like that. And my friends, normally I would not blow the charcoal off like that, because normally I have at least one cat on my desk with me, but they're all upstairs today. And the dogs aren't anywhere near me right now, so... because I don't want them breathing in that dust. I mean, I certainly don't want to breathe it in either, but I'm blowing it away from me, so it's okay. But normally what I would do is either use a paintbrush to pick it up. I'll show you. Just an old paintbrush in this dollar store. I would go like this. Oh, Charlie, your stomach. What's going on with you? I would pick it up like that and take it off that way. All right, did I do this one? Yep, I did. Okay, last two little trees here. All right, how's that looking? I really, really like this. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my 4B again, and I'm just gonna, well, you know what? I was gonna put some branches on the trees, and I think I'm gonna do that, but not too many, just, you know, just a few that are going out, and they're gonna be like really, really very few of them, and they're not gonna show around the moon, because it's really bright around the moon, so just a few. It just gives the drawing a little bit more interest. Okay, and remember you have to do the same thing down here. We've got 1, 2 here, so maybe 1, 2 here, 1 up here, a couple down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. It doesn't have to be exact. Just 1 up here. Does not have to be exact. Okay, I'm gonna grab a swab and just do the same thing. Just go over them really so that they're there, but they're not stark black. It's so windy outside that the clouds keep going over the sun, and it's making my room darker and then lighter, and it's hard on my eyes. I hope it doesn't affect the video. I have my good lights on, but okay, that's good. Now I have some kind of dirty swabs here. I'm gonna go and just put just a few little shadows, just a few, around where the branch shadows are down here, underneath them. Again, it just gives it a little more interest and maybe a little more realism, because shadows aren't sticks all the time. A little shading on the outside of the tree as well. Okay, this is over here. Okay. Now, last but not least, we're going to do the coyotes, or coyotes. And I've got my darkest 6B right here. And like I said, I want to keep that white. And I'm just going to fill in with the 6B. And I don't have to fill it in completely because 6B is the softest of the pencils that I have. There are 8Bs and I'm sure 10Bs out there. But it really creates a lot of dust, so I don't have to apply all that much medium to it. because it will spread. And 6B is just a little darker than the 4B that I used everywhere else. So I'm hoping that it stands out a little bit. It may or may not. There may be just a very small bit of difference, but I want to see if it will stand out or not. All right. And again, I'm going to take cotton swab. I'm going to be careful not to get my hand on the paper because my wax paper is now very dirty. And I don't want to cover up any of the snow area. You see how much dust this creates? I don't know if it's visible right now, but it really does create a lot of dust. And it spreads very well, so you don't have to really fill the entire image when you're using soft black pencils. Now, this is too much dust, so I'm going to show you that technique. It takes a little while, but I can get all of the charcoal up. It's almost like you're using a broom and a dustpan. I'm sweeping it all into one spot, and then I'm going to pick it up with the brush. Okay, I've got just a little bit left. I don't mind blowing that off. Okay, now, last but not least, let's take our white charcoal again. I'm actually going to invert this so that I can use it. I don't want to get black charcoal. I already have black charcoal on my fingers, so I don't want to get any more on it. Now what I'm going to do is really outline the coyote with white. And as you can see, I'm not doing a straight line. I'm making it almost like it's fur coming out here. Now there's a little spot here. If you remember, the tree was down there and the coyote was around it. I'm not doing the bottoms where the shadow is. And I am going to blend this, so it's not going to look all jagged like that. thinking this guy is somehow missing an ear. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It is a silhouette, right? Right. Now, trying to remember where the... There we go. I was trying to remember where the paws were. I don't have my stencil in front of me anymore. Okay. That one looks good, but I'm not happy with this one. Let me see what I can do here. Yeah, I'm not happy with that one, so let me see. I know he's missing an ear. So, and also, I'm just going to try to fix it here. So I'm sorry, my friends, I can't multitask and talk at the same time. My original stencil had a paw here, and it came up like this, and then there was hair coming down here, and another paw here, and then it went up like this, and I had a leg coming down here, and a leg coming down here. Okay, I see what I've done wrong. All right. I've added a bit of his foot there, so I have to add a bit of a shadow also, okay? And I don't want the bottom of the feet showing. Okay, I think that's a little better. And he had an ear popping out, and then I've got to fix that ear. I know I'm being a bit obsessive right now, but it was kind of like that. And then the ear came out here, and then in like this. Okay. The ear came out like this, and then like that. And I think the head, the snout, came out a bit higher. There, that looks a little better, doesn't it? Okay. Happier with that. Okay. That looks much better. So I'm going to blend that. I'm going to take a fresh swab here, and I'm going to blend the white. Okay, so it's not a complete lined outline of the coyote, but it's obvious. And it doesn't, you know, he doesn't or she doesn't get lost into the tree here. All right, let's do this one. I like this one better. There we go. We've got our two coyotes. Now, what I want to do here, though, you can still see I moved my stencil. I'm so sorry. My canvas, that was just a habit. I'm going to go like this to try to erase that horizon line. Instead of it being a straight line across, I'm just making circles here. And I'm touching up a little bit with my 6B because I can see some of my white charcoal lines where I drew the line across and where I had the bottoms of the trees. Anywhere I can see any white that shouldn't be there, I'm going to erase with the 6B. All right, just grabbing a cotton swab, going over it very lightly because I don't want to erase my black too much. I don't want those horizon lines showing. I'm just going to grab my paintbrush and work this in because this was an area where I really saw my outline. All right, last thing we're going to do is just go in and gently, gently, gently blend in this white here. So the horizon line is still pretty obvious, but it's not a real straight line. Okay. Well, my friends, I'm pretty darn happy with this one. It turned out pretty well. I'm just going to grab my 4B and make it mine. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know if you followed along, and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. This got moved again, I'm sorry. I'd love to hear what you have to say if you followed along, if you have any things that you want me to draw for you. I just noticed a little bit of blending that needs to be done there. There we go. And please like and subscribe. I'm so happy that you were here sharing this moment with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.